Welcome back to my channel, Literature Made Easy. West African Examination Council has selected 10 poems and 2 books for the core literature aspect of the English language. So we have these books divided into prose and drama. So for the prose, we have Treasure Island by Robert L. Stevenson, and that's for the non-African words prose. And for the African prose, we have Kaya Girl by Wole Manley. And for the drama, we have The Son of Invele by Bill Marshall and An Enemy of the People by Henrik Ibsen. So for the poems, we have African and non-African poems. So for the non-African poems, we have Anthem by the Doom Youth by Winfred Owen. Then we have I Sit and Look by Walt Whitman. Butter My Heart, Three-Person God by John Donner. Piano by D.H. Lawrenson. If You Must Die by Clark McKay. Then for the African poetry, we have Nightfall in Soweto by Oswald Machali, Riverbed by Kofi Awoonor, Night Rain by John Pepper Clark, An African Thunderstorm by David Wabaduri, Once Upon a Time by Gabriel Okra. So when you take the WASSCE paper, the 2022 WASSCE paper, English paper 1 or English language 1, you see that we have part B, which is for literature. And there are 10 questions that come every year. So we have 10 questions for drama, 10 questions for prose, and 10 questions for poetry. So the first section is a non-African prose, which is the Treasure Island by Robert L. Stevenson. And it is from question 51 to 60. And we have another section also from 51 to 60. So depending on what you are treating, the book you are treating in your, if you are treating the African prose, which is the Kaya Girl by Wole Manley, then you choose that 51 to 60. But if you are doing Treasure Island by Robert L. Stevenson, then you also choose that 51 to 60. Then we move on to the drama, which is also from 61 to 70. So the African drama, which is The Son of Invele by Bill Marshall. Then the non-African drama, which is An Enemy of the People by Rick Ibsen. Yes. So for that one too, so the one you are treating in your school, if you are treating the African drama or the non-African drama, is what you choose. So you choose just 161 to 70, depending on the book you are treating in your school. Then the last part is the poetry. Some teachers are able to go through the African poetry as well as the non-African. And some teachers also concentrate on just one of it, either the African or the non-African. So if you are privileged for your teacher to take you through all the poems, that's the 10 poems, you can either choose from the non-African, which is 10 marks, and from the African, which is also 10 marks. So for the poetry, 71 to 80 for African, and another 71 to 80 for the non-African. And all 2 questions each for any of the 5 poems. So that's all about how the questions are set. Literature is 30 marks, yes, 30 good marks. So if you don't like literature, you are harming yourself. So I'm here to help you with the literature aspects of the English language so that you'll be able to get your 30 marks and get a good scores in your paper. So in today's lesson, we are going to be looking at Kofi Awoonor's Riverbed. So we'll take something about the author, dive into the meaning of the poem, the title, and everything that pertains or is everything that we need to know about the Riverbed. So anytime you are being asked questions on it, you will get it correctly. So about the author, Kofi Awoonor is a Ghanaian poet or writer whose work depicted African during decolonization by combining the poetic tradition of native era people with contemporary and religious symbolism. Ghana is where Awoonor was born. He attended Achimota Senior High School before enrolling into the University of Ghana, where he graduated in 1960. Rediscovery, his first poetry collection, was published in 1964 whilst he was a student at the University of Ghana. Rediscovery, like the rest of his work, is based on African poetry. He founded the Ghana Playhouse and managed the Ghana Film Corporation in Ghana. His early works were inspired by his native Ewe people's singing and verse. He then went on to study literature at the University of London. Whilst there, he wrote several radio plays for BBC in the early 1970s. He spent time in the United States studying, teaching at the universities. He wrote My Earth, My Brother, and My Blood whilst he was in the United States. In 1975, Awoonor returned to Ghana as the head of the English department. At the University of Cape Coast, within months, he was arrested for assisting a soldier accused of attempting to overthrow the military government. And he was imprisoned without charges before being released. His time in jail is depicted in The House by the Sea. Awoonor became politically active after his imprisonment and had written mostly non-fiction. Awoonor served as Ghana's ambassador to the United Nations from 1960 to 1964. Awoonor was among those who were killed on September 21st, 2013 during the El Shabaab terrorist attack at Nairobi shopping mall. He was in Nairobi for a Story Magahi Festival, a 4-day festival of writing, thinking, and storytelling. He was scheduled to perform on Saturday evening before passing away. The next day, the Ghana government announced his death. His son was also shot as well, but he was later released from the hospital. On September 25, 2013, his body was returned to Ghana. There was no crying or mourning as per his wishes. He was cremated and laid to rest in his hometown, Wita, in the Volta region. So we are now moving on to the title of the poem, which is Weaver Bird. The weaver birds are birds that live in the hot areas of Africa. These birds have yellow and black feathers. You can just imagine a bird having yellow and black feathers. Very beautiful birds. So normally they pick trees that are full of ants and other biting insects, so that human beings will not be able to get closer to them. They actually derive their name weaver bird from the ability to be able to build their nest artistically using palm branches. So God gave them the ability, and through the ability, they were able to get their names weaver bird. So they live in the hot areas of Africa. They have black and yellow feathers, and usually they pick trees that are full of ants and biting insects, so that human beings and other people and things will not be able to get close to the nest that they've woven. Okay, now so let's move on to the meaning of the poem. So literally, the poem is about a bird who came into the house of the host. The host was so hospitable, accommodating, and generous to give the bird its only tree. And this weaver bird took over the tree. The host watched it towards build its nest. The host watched it towards hatch, supervise the egg laying of the bird. But what the host failed to identify is that the eggs will hatch and increasing the number of the weaver birds. So the host looked unconcerned. the eggs hatch, and the weaver bird increase in numbers. So whilst the birds increase in numbers, they took over the only tree that the host gave to the weaver bird. So when they took over, now the host lost its home. So the host has to go looking for new homes every day, and the altars that the host used to have, the host has to strive to rebuild those altars. And the weaver bird also would defile the shrine of the host. So the host in his or her own land became a stranger and had to look for a new home somewhere else in his or her own land. So at the deeper level, the weaver bird means the colonization of the whites and its negative effects on the African continent. The whites came with salvation, they came with mirror, they came with gunpowder and other common and cheap things, and Africans were comfortable, they were happy to see those things. We give them homes to be comfortable, we make them happy on our land, not knowing the white had hidden motive. They wanted to take over the continent of Africa, which they did. They exploited our gold, our diamond, our minerals, the precious things that we had as Africans. And by the time we realized, we were left with nothing, and we had to we became strangers in our own land. We became totally strangers in our own land because of the hospitality we gave to the white people when they came to our land. So virtually, that's what the weaver bird is about. It's about colonialism and its negative effects on Africans. So now let's move on to the themes and the subject matter of the poem. So for the subject matter, we have colonialism as a subject matter of the poem, since colonialism ran throughout the whole poem. The whole poem is talking about colonialism and its negative effects on Africans. So the subject matter is colonialism. So now some of the themes are lost identity and culture, social settlements, negative effects of colonialism on Africans, and invasion of the colonies and the predicaments of the colonized people. So now let's move on to the style of Kofi Awoonor. The first style that we'll look at is diction. So Kofi Awoonor actually used simple and compound sentences, making his diction simple, formal, and straightforward. So the next style we'll look at is the tone. The tone from the beginning was that of bitterness, because the poet was angry about how Africans accepted the whites and they exploited them, leaving them with nothing at the end of the day. So the tone from the beginning was that of bitterness, but moving towards the end, it became that of hopefulness, because the poet knew that, yeah, Africans or the African continent can rise on its feet again. So now that is that of bitterness and resentment. When you are reading the poem, yes, you have this bitterness as to why the whites have to come to do this to Africans, just because they were received very well. So that was that of grief and resentment. So now let's move on to literary devices as part of the style that I would not use. So for the literary devices, we have personification. The bird was actually given human attributes, making its personification, because a bird cannot preach, but a bird was given a human attribute of preaching. Yes, the bird was given a human attribute of preaching, so making the bird was personified. And also the bird was given the ability to be able to build. A bird cannot build, it's only humans that build. So the bird being given the human attributes of building means that the bird was personified. So that the other literary device that was used in the poem is repetition. The poet repeated and we severally in the poem. Now, so let's move on to symbolism. Yes, symbolism. We all know what symbolism is. So we just go straight to symbolism that was employed by Awoonor in the poem. The first symbolism is weaver bird. Weaver bird was actually used to represent the whites, yes, the white men and women, the whites. And it also stands for distraction, exploitation, and all the negative things that you can think of. Then the next symbol was the tree. The tree was also used to represent the African continent. Yes, so the tree was used to represent the African continent. And authors as used in the poem is used to represent religion, either our African religion or religion as a, we all know what authors are. Churches have authors, shrines have authors. So author was used to represent what? Religion. And the next symbol is the weaver bird's excrement. So the weaver bird excrement was used to symbolize or represent the harm that the Europeans came to cause Africans. So now let's look at imagery. Yeah, imagery. So can you just imagine a bird preaching? You don't want to imagine, right? Was the bird using microphone? How was the bird preaching? The bird was actually preaching. So you try to visualize how does it look like for a bird to what? Preach. So the bird was preaching, and we try to imagine and visualize how the bird was preaching. And also the bird building. Was the bird the one carrying the water, or was he carrying water? How would the bird build? So we try to visualize these lines that the poet used in his poem. And also the fishes drying their lantern light by the fishes drying their nets by lantern light is also another imagery that was used in the poem. The fishes drying their nest by lantern light. How can you dry your net with lantern light? We all know what a lantern is. Just imagine drying your net with lantern light. So it all was give us a vivid image, trying to visualize what actually it is. Now let's move on to the narrative technique Awoonor used in his poem, The Weaver Bird. So the poem is a narrative one. It is a 17-line poem in one stanza. The poet used both present as well as past tense, and the poem flowed freely. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I promise you another exciting lesson, so stay tuned. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on this channel. Thank you.